She's double checking, make sure I didn't take
All right, we're gonna call the Iberia Parish Council July 13, 2016 meeting to order. Time is 6:02. I'd like to recognize Brother David Denton, the pastor at Highland Baptist Church, to lead us in prayer.
Thank you. Before I pray, let me just tell you as council members how much we appreciate you and what you do, and especially in light of the events of this past week, we just want you to know that our congregation stands with you. Appreciate your job and as you execute your responsibilities. So let me pray for us tonight. Father God, we come before you tonight and we acknowledge your authority and we acknowledge your grace. Father, your word tells us that no position of leadership would be granted were it not given to us from you. So we acknowledge that together tonight, and we pray for wisdom. We pray for discernment for our city council. Father, as they discuss matters that affect this great city of ours, grant them unity, Father, concerning the things that really matter. I pray for humility and the ability to work together on those secondary matters. All of it, Father, though, for the sake of what's good for our community and what glorifies you. And Lord, as they execute their responsibilities, carry out those duties. As they do it, remembering that ultimately they are accountable to you. Father, we pray that you'd grant them favor with the people and grant them grace. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Brother David. And now, Mr. Dugal, would you lead us in the pledge?
Please face the flag and recite the pledge with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Tommy Palmer.
Here.
J.E. Davis.
Here.
Tommy Landry.
Here.
Lloyd Brown.
Here.
Wayne Gossison.
Here.
Natalie Broussard.
Here.
Paul Landry.
Here.
Ricky Gosselin. Joel Dugas.
Here.
Medina Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Robert Francis.
Here.
Marty Trahan.
Here.
Chad Montran.
Here.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. First one is the meeting of May 25th, 2016. Does anybody have any changes or comments regarding the minutes of May 25th, 2016?
So move.
Before we vote on it, I would like to acknowledge that on Resolution 2016-1110 regarding amending the Acadiana Fairgrounds budget, there is a typographical error wherein we were supposed to amend it from $370,500. It has $3,570,500, so we need to take out that extra 5. Do I have a motion to amend those minutes?
Second to amend.
Roll call. That motion passed as amended. The meeting of June 8th, 2016, minutes, any comments, additions, corrections to those minutes? I'd like to point out that on Resolution 2016-111, regarding the freeze on the funding on Autumn Lane, one of the paragraphs is put in there twice. That paragraph is now therefore be it resolved that the Iberia Parish Council does hereby authorize a freeze in funding for the amount of $150,000 in the 2016 royalty fund budget appropriated for Autumn Lane contract payments line item. We need a motion to amend one of those paragraphs and to delete it.
Second.
Motion by Paul, second by Brian. Roll call. That motion carries. So the minutes of June 8, 2016 are approved as amended. Persons to address the council, there are none. Reports, finance and administrative action. compensatory time report for the quarter of April, May, and June 2016, all in accordance with resolution numbers 2013-441 and 2014-33. Those were provided for you in your packets. Reports from parish or other governmental agencies, administration to provide monthly status reports on all grant projects, all in accordance with resolution 2012-217. Those were also included in your package. Public Works reports, the Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated June 13th through the 17th, 20th through the 24th, and June 27th through the July 1st, 2016. All of those were in your packets. Special business, none. Council member announcements. Any council members have any announcements? Parish President announcements, Mr. LaRishore.
Yesterday, Scott, myself, and Mark Bayrard of Bayrard and Habits met with various representatives from utility companies that will be involved in the Lewis Street Atmodoro Road project. Representative from the City of New Iberia, Cox Cable, CLECO, Centerpoint, AT&T, Lawco, Sewer District Number 1. We're all there, and we discuss what would be necessary for those utility companies for us to move forward with the project. Each company is going to get back with us with a cost estimate for their services within a month, and Bayrard and Habits will be soliciting the right-of-ways within the next 3 weeks.
Wonderful. Glad to hear that progressing. Thank you, Mr. LaRishore.
Thank you. Let's go through some public work things here. On roadside drainage in District 2 on Leon Landry Road, we're doing roadside drainage. In District 10, South Curtis Lane. District 13 on Lake Seminette Drive, Jefferson Island Road, OLA 25, Little Road, Bernard Road, and also Sandos Road. We're doing roadside drainage work. We had a catch basin that we installed on Livingston Road in District 14. We're doing some drainage field work in District 3 on West Old Spanish Trail. District 10, Frankie Street. District 13 on Derwent Road Extension, El Dubois Road, and in District 14 on Romero Road and off of Davis Road, and also Highway 88. We had a tree that was down on Norris Road in District 13. We took care of it. We had some debris pickup that we did this past week or so on John Lewis Road in District 10. District 12 was Canal Street, Kilgore Road. District 13 was Railroad Road, C. Broussard Road. District 2, the Cajun RVR. We did a lot of work at the Cajun RVR over the last couple of weeks as far as cleaning up. District 9 on C Street, as well as Ozanne Road in District 10 and Segura Road in District 10. I think I'm gonna stop. We're doing a lot of work in public works. So, as you can see, we're very busy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaRishore. I appreciate that update. All right.
And one other thing I'll add. At the next full council meeting, I'm going to give you a report on the Acadiana Planning Commission, things that we're doing with the Acadiana Planning Commission. It's we've got some real good things going on, so I'll give a nice report to you guys on what's taking place with that when we get back, or whenever our next full council meeting is. Thank you.
And I don't believe I had the opportunity to compliment you like I did Mr. Saunier. I believe, looking at these minutes from the last couple of meetings, we gave y'all a lot of work to come back to us with at that July 6th committee meeting, and y'all did have a lot of information to present to us. And I told Mr. Saunier after that meeting, thank you very much. Y'all did a great job, and I wanted to relay that to you as well.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, public comments on ordinances and resolutions. I need a motion
Move.
to go into
Second,
public
Mr. Chair.
session. Moved by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Gosh. Roll call. Motion carries. We're now in public hearing. Is there anybody in the public who wants to speak on any of the ordinances or resolutions that's on the agenda tonight? Now's your opportunity to express yourself if anybody has any comments. Hearing none, I need a motion to adjourn public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Goshasow. Roll call. Motion carries. All right. Resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption. Summary number 140, introduced by Ricky Gonsalas, District 8. A resolution authorizing a change in the second regular meeting from July 27th to July 20th due to the council members returning from the NACO conference on July 26th. Need a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Landry, second by Mr. Pollard. Any discussion? Roll call. Motion carries. Summary number 141, introduced by Mr. Ricky Gonsalas, District 8, a resolution amending the 2016 Building Public Maintenance Fund budget in the amount of $42,719 to reimburse the clerk of court for improvements made to wiring in the clerk's office, all to be funded from the fund balance previous year's line items. Before we go into that, I just want to point out to everyone that at the committee meeting last week, we did have a very lengthy discussion and healthy debate, and we, I think, talked about this for approximately an hour. And I'm just going to ask everybody, let's not rehash everything what we said. If you have something in addition to add or something, other questions, I believe Mr. Thibodeau is here to answer any questions and address the council. But I would request that you not just repeat everything that we already said last week. But by all means, if you have something new to say, feel free to say it. I have a motion by Mr. Landry. Do I have a second? By Mr.
Second.
Pollard. Mr. Thibodeau, you have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, let me apologize to you for not being here last week, the council, Mr. Richard. And I also want to thank Mr. Ditch for doing an excellent job in representing the office and presenting our case to you. And I also would like to thank the employees who are here tonight. I'm not going to rehash everything, but I just want to remind you that we had an emergent situation in the clerk's office. We could not service the people of this parish, the people that you represent. We've had phone calls from attorneys why we couldn't process the work. Once we explained it to them, it went very well. I'm proud to say that the wiring in the office is first class. We have done a very good job. We're up and running, and the work is being processed as fast as we can. It was very frustrating for the employees of the office who take pride in their work and do an excellent job in servicing the people of this parish. And now all of that has been resolved. And another issue I would like to address to the council is I want you to know that I did not violate any state bidding law, nor did I make any mistakes. In my office, the way we do things is you can do it, this is considered professional services. Professional service does not require any bidding. I had to do what I had to do in my office to get it up and running, and I take pride in what I have done, and the employees, I'm very proud of the employees, how they handled this whole situation. So with that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Thibodeau?
I just have a few comments
Mr.
I would
Livia.
like to make. Mike, I can understand your situation. You and I talked earlier about it. Emergency situation comes up in government. I mean, government have to function. We have to do what we have to do to keep things working in government, particularly in your department with all the data you have to research and give to people when they need it. I mean, I can justify the reason why you did what you did. You had to get the system working. The servers was down. You had to get them back online. Government do have to function. The only recommendation I would have, not just to your department or any departments in here in the courthouse, we need to do a better job in communicating with one another. I think we have a problem with not letting the Treasury Administration know what's going on in every department, especially with expenditures. We have a central purchasing office that can probably save us money in a lot of cases and things we buy and things we purchase. If we can take advantage of that, we need to do so. I mean, we're only saving taxpayers' money when we do this. So we got to try to take advantage of that anytime we can. So my recommendation is that not just to your office. I think what you did was necessary. You got your system back up, got it working. But we need to continue communicating with the administration as well as this council on any expenditures that goes on in this courthouse. We need to make a team effort to make sure we get it right when we do it. I will support this resolution because I think if you did the right thing by getting the emergency repair work done, I agree with you on that. But I just need to go on record that in the future, any department that's part of this courthouse, in my opinion, should work with the administration to make sure that we coordinate our efforts to make sure we save the taxpayers as much money as we can through our central purchasing office, which is controlled by Mike Broussard, I'm sorry. Okay, that's the comment I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Brown?
Mike,
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that I, for one, never I heard some misunderstanding where you had done something wrong.
Well, it was published in the paper twice
That's what I'm
that I
saying.
made a mistake, and I did not make any mistakes.
No, you didn't, and I never for once thought that you did. The only problem I had was that you didn't make a mistake. You were following the rules
For my office,
for your office.
correct.
And then we had rules that we had to follow for ours. And the only problem I had, I just said that communication wasn't there from what I understand and what I heard. And I had asked that maybe the communication would come, y'all would come together. And I have no problem of paying for what needed to be done in your office, because that is our obligation. It was just how it was done. That was all. And you didn't do nothing wrong.
Thank you,
And-
Mr. Brown.
And it's not how the work was done, but how it was asked for us to do it. That was my problem. That was the only thing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Napier?
Mr. Thibodeau, and look, surely Mr. Ditch came last week and did a great job filling us in. And I only want to go over a couple of things because he wasn't there, from what I understand, when this happened. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, from what you said a while ago, it's done.
The job is
problem is
complete.
taken care of. No more needs to be done in this area. You're up and running. It's a done deal. There's no more money needed for anything pertaining to this.
That's correct.
The thing, and you made a point that there was no laws you violated as far as for public bid law. But if I'm not mistaken, parish government has a procedure for that type of work, according to our entities that we supply funding for.
But if you go, this is under professional services, and parish government has the same protocol with professional services that you do not have to bid. It's the law. You don't have to bid professional services.
Even and I might be wrong, and I want to be corrected if I am. From the way I understood it was that under parish, for what we provide.
I am going by the public law, the state law for professional services, which requires to me, which requires to you. And I think maybe y'all may do professional services that you don't bid out also. I don't know. I'm not part of you. But this is a professional service done by IT people who are professional people, and it goes under the professional bid law, where you don't have to bid.
So
professional
if this
services.
came up again, you would do it the same way?
Well,
Mr.
when you're in an
Thibodeau?
emergent situation, you act like you're supposed to. And you got to get your office up and running so you can provide services to the people. Yes, I would. I'll do whatever I can to provide the service I can to the people of this parish.
Okay, I had understood from just everybody talking and from the administration and from legal that it should have came, and I'm trying to figure this out myself so that when it comes up to us again, whether it's your office or sheriff, the DA, we don't, and I'm gonna ask our legal in a minute, we don't have to do what we talked about last week. and any of y'all, if I'm off base, I just want to understand it, is that we got a guy that does purchasing, and you said, and I understand that you had an emergency situation, but he's here as much as you are. There was no reason, and I'll keep going back to that, for you to have called him and say, Mike, give me some help here. I got an emergency situation. You got the contacts, you the purchasing guy. Let's get some numbers. That was never thought of, or
Well, the
felt
two-
that you needed to do that?
No, the two, I did what I had to do at the time. The two offices operate differently, and I took care of what I had to. I called the people who was necessary to come in and do the wiring, and we had to run with it. I didn't have time for anything else.
And just, well, I'm gonna ask one more question then. This happened in January?
It's the end of January, beginning of February.
And we didn't hear till a few weeks ago, Mr. Thibodeau, about that? Is there a reasoning for that?
Well, we talked about it. Mr. Reshore is very kind to come down and check on us to see how we were doing. I don't know what else you want me to say about it.
No, I don't,
you know.
I'm not trying to pull anything out. I'm just it just bothers me if this happened in January, that it was June before you had decided.
Well, we just
that-
finished everything. We just completed the job.
But I mean, just to let us know what was going on, that we had something that we were gonna be paying for. And look, there's no doubt, public buildings is our responsibility. You know, I just don't, Mike, I just don't want this to happen again, and
Well-
everybody, other entities that are watching, you know, I feel that this didn't go right, and if I'm wrong with my
Well, you
fellow
know,
councilman, please tell me. I don't know how everybody else feels
Mr.
about it, but
Napier,
I
I've been-
feel this isn't the way that it should have been done.
I have been clerk for 20 years. Not once have I come before the council to ask them for anything. This is the first time in 20 years that I have come up here to ask y'all for anything besides my storage building. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tibbetts.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Dugal?
Yes, thank you. If I'm not mistaken, you were elected by the general population just like we were, right?
That's correct.
You have your own budget, right?
That's correct.
If you wasn't asking for reimbursement, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's
right?
correct.
If we followed proper protocol and did everything, we might have saved $5,000, maybe, I don't know, maybe not even that much, right?
I don't think, well, I can't answer that because I don't know.
So my point
I don't,
is,
I don't think you would have saved that much.
my point is we're having a whole lot of conversation over a lot of nothing.
That's right.
I think you did the right thing.
Thank
And I
you.
commend you on it.
Thank
You got
you.
the system back up and running, and you're servicing the parish like you said you would.
I improved your building. We improved the courtrooms. The attorneys and the judges now have access to the system, my system. The employees have, so all we did was improve your building.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Irwin?
The question I just had was, you know, hearing Mr. Mike say that it wasn't necessary for the bids. I guess I had a misunderstanding that based on the ethics with the parish law that we had to have the bids. So I'm kind of like, we didn't need bids, or we need bids, or I'm kind of, I guess, in a little limbo. You know, I just wanted to get the clarification of it.
Are you
Maybe
asking
for
me?
legal?
Who are you asking? Andy or me? Andy?
Without spending too much time, let me give you a quick, very quick analysis of the public bid law. Mr. Thibodeau was in sort of a gray area, to be honest with you. As I said last time, I don't believe Mr. Thibodeau did anything wrong. The one thing that this body needs to think about is whether you're gonna require central purchasing to be used. But let me just, on public works for buildings and things that you build, the bid law is $152,400, and that changes annually because there's an escalation clause. So next year it may not be that low, it may be a little higher. Materials and supplies is $30,000. Anything less than $10,000, you don't have to get quotes on. Anything between 10 and 30, you're supposed to obtain at least 3 telephone quotes or fax quotes. Emergencies are defined as unforeseen mischances bringing with it destruction or injury of life or property. That's, look, when we talk about emergency, we got to talk about whether it was a perceived emergency or an emergency that rises to the level of the statute. And so if you're talking about emergency, you're having to talk about things like life and limb. So I guess an emergency for the parish might be, if your sewer went out and you had sewer backing up in houses, that to me is an emergency for life or personal property. Telecommunications, that's a whole different thing. You can do requests for proposals on that. That's computers and softwares, and the reason is because you gotta, some of it has to match up, and so somebody might give you a lower quote, but it doesn't really interface with your equipment, so you got to have that ability to do so. Professional services, when you talk about professional services, you're generally talking about architects, engineers, or landscape architects. And if a contract involves both services and materials and supplies, which is what Mr. Thibodeau's was, then you have to look at what is the major component part of that. In this one, I think that $24,000 roughly was the services, the work. About $18,000 was the materials and supplies. So it probably comes down more on the services side. But what you have to look at is this. With respect to agencies like the clerk or anyone else, they have materials and supplies that they use in their office. They can handle those. When you talk about something that's being done to the courthouse, that's your prerogative. And look, no criticism, but had there been some discussion, again, an example I gave was, what if it had cost $100,000 to wire the entire first floor of the courthouse, and we spent $42,000? Was it wise? Should the administration have had time to look into that? What you want to do is you want to make sure that this doesn't set a precedent of agencies that you may have some responsibility for going out and not that Mr. Thibodeau tried to do this, going out and doing something to the courthouse that you don't have any kind of input in. The wiring, of course, is important to all the agencies in the courthouse. So, again, it was, $18,000 worth of equipment. It was $24,000 worth of services. Please don't confuse when you or the parish government hires architects or engineers for projects. Those are clearly, truly personal services, and you got the right to do those because you need to be able to say, there's certain engineers that are good at bridges, others at sewer, others at something else, and you want to be able to select the engineer or architect that has the expertise that you really want. And just because it's the lowest bid doesn't necessarily mean that's the best deal, because if they're not very good at, or very well trained at that particular type of project, then you could end up actually spending more money. So that's a kind of you ask about public bid law, and maybe that's a primer on it, but you do have a central purchasing, and you should always try whenever possible to use central purchasing to try to get the best deal possible. So
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I don't think there's any question that there was some breakdown in communication. I think there was some information being exchanged. We've heard about a couple of conversations in the elevator. Now you're referring to one where Mr. Richard was in your office. I don't think there's any question that if it would have come before us on the front end, there's no question we would have been responsible for the repair. I mean, it's our building. We're responsible for the upkeep and the maintenance of this building. I think we have to look at the fact that we have a new administration. You've been there for 20 years. There's new procedures. The question is not whether or not there was a violation of the state bid laws, but more of was there a violation in our parish procedures? Was that also a breakdown in communication? Did you understand that it should have gone through central purchasing? I think that Mr. Olivier kind of hit the nail on the head when he said, there was a breakdown in communication. And I believe that we need to give Mr. Thibodeau the benefit of the doubt, because there's no question that had we known about it ahead of time, we would pay for it. And for us to now penalize him by not doing it, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was just a small fraction of what this cost your office.
That's correct.
And I am concerned about setting the precedent. I hear that, I do. But at the same time, I believe that this council is wise enough to be able to assess each incident, each request on a case-by-case basis and consider all those requests. And I do think we need to take into consideration, although it might not arise to an emergency as defined under the statute, but definitely there was an urgency in the situation. You were dead in the water. You were not functioning, and you had to get up. I mean, you're talking about people's jail sentences, their freedoms being deprived. You're talking about custody of children. You're talking about a whole
Protective orders.
a whole gamut of things that is for the protection
That's
of,
right.
of all of our people. So I just think that we need to be considering all of that and giving you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to support this resolution as well.
Thank you.
And if there's no more comments,
I have one.
yes, sir.
I've been knowing Mike for probably close to 30 years, and Mike and I are personal friends. I think what I want to make clear right here is that as parish president, I don't have the authority to write a check to anybody, another governmental agency, for whether it's $5 or $50,000. And that's the reason I kept saying, I can't write the check, or else I get the council to approve this here. Now, this is being spent all kinds of ways. It's nothing at all personal with Mike. It's nothing at all, if it would have been the sheriff or anyone else, I can't write the check. I could have, if we would have actually gone out for, if we would actually handle the job, it would be absolutely no problem. And I want to make something else perfectly clear. Mike did nothing wrong, because he paid for this particular job with money from his budget, right?
That's correct.
What I'm saying. So he did absolutely nothing wrong. Where I'm having the issue is me coming back, or me writing a check to the clerk of court's office without coming to the council, making the council aware of what's going on, because then I'm in violation. So he's not in violation, but I don't want to be in violation. So that's the reason this thing is here right now. So it's nothing that Mike did wrong at all. It's just that I don't want to be the person, when something happens, they come to me and say, you in violation now, because you took this money that was actually to be spent on a building, but instead of spending it, writing it to a particular vendor, you wrote a check to another agency. And that's the whole issue.
Thank you, Mr. Richard.
Question?
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Last week when we spoke about this, at the end of the year when we auditor the council, your books, will that have an effect on anything?
If I would have to assume that if I was to if I would have written a check without coming to the council, and an auditor would have pulled it and flagged it, well, yeah, I potentially could have had some issues. That's why we're here tonight, because I didn't write this check. If I would have written the check, we wouldn't be here. But I'm not gonna, Mike and I think we're both like the same type of person. He wants to do the right job for his
That's correct.
department and his agency, and I want to do the same for mine. And it's not, so you know, we go back a long time. So this is nothing at Mike, this is something at protecting me and our Berea Parish government.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But at the same time, Mr. Reshort, I think the bigger question is that we might have had a write-up had you written a check.
Absolutely.
But you don't anticipate there being an audit write-up if we pass the resolution.
I don't know if there's gonna be an audit, if we pass a resolution. The difference is, if you, as a council, pass a resolution and we have an audit write-up, it's on you. It's not on me.
Mr. Brown?
I know, Past President, you said that, you know, you had a problem, that you wasn't gonna write the check. That just was.
That was the reason.
All right, but now that I know the reason, and if we pass it, then you would write the check.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
If the parish
now
council,
you
I just
answer
can't
my
do it,
question.
I couldn't do it without the council knowing what's going
All
on.
right.
The council tell me to do it, I'll do it, but it's back on the council.
All right, I'm done.
Andy?
Can I just make sure everybody understands? This is just what everybody's talking about, this is a budgeting.
That's right.
You know,
In your budget.
if you pass an ordinance or a resolution, it becomes part of the budget, and therefore it's something you can do. If you don't appropriate the money, you can't spend the money. It's really
simple.
pretty simple and elementary. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. Good enough.
Mr. Tron?
Okay. I don't have a problem paying. What fund are we gonna pay it out of?
Public
And-
maintenance, the
and
building
wait,
fund.
Which, is it legal to pay it out of that fund?
If you pass an ordinance, I have to do what you tell me to do.
That's not what
Ask
I'm
him,
asking.
ask him.
Yes.
Is it legal to pay the 42,000 out of public building and maintenance?
We were
Because it's being used on our public building.
So you saying it's all right to pay it out of public buildings and maintenance? Okay, I'm good. We can pay it.
Mr. Gutcherson?
Madam Chair, I've heard that Mike has done no wrong 8 times tonight, and I applaud you, Mr. Mike.
Well, thank you.
But if we pass this tonight, do we break our own policy? So that's my question. I mean, I know he hasn't done anything wrong, and I complimented him, and the parish president hasn't done anything wrong. But if the council passes the $42,000, do we break our policy? I mean, am I putting you in a hard spot, Andy?
No, you're not putting me on.
Oh.
Look, every time I walk in here, I'm in a hard spot. No, I think that the real, look, I get the consensus of what everybody wants to do. What you just need to do is to say, we're gonna do this, but we're asking every board, commission, agency, office, whenever possible, especially when it relates to the buildings owned by the parish, that you use the purchasing department of Iberia Parish government to ensure that we try to get the best deal possible for the taxpayers.
So, is that a yes or a no? Are we breaking our own policy? That's my question.
Can you produce for me a resolution that says that's your policy? I don't think there is a resolution that says that. I think that is a general understanding of what should be done. And what I'm suggesting to you is, tonight, if you approve that you make it clear that it's not only a general understanding, but that is the process that you would wish for every board, commission, agency, or office to follow in the future when they spend public funds relating to your buildings.
I don't have a problem approving it. I went today and toured it with you, and I think that the guy who was responsible for doing the job, I don't have that problem paying it. I just want to make sure at the end of the day is everyone's saying on this side of the board that we're not breaking any rules or policies. But on this side of the board, if we approve it, then it's going to be like, well, you know, you broke one rule to give for someone else. That's just my question, Mr. Mike. I'm not against you. I have the utmost respect for you and these gentlemen and ladies here who run a good tight ship there. And I think you're right. You provide a service just like we do here. I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, we say like my good friend Mr. Davis, we don't open a can of worms. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Tron?
Can we amend this resolution that the parish president sent out a letter stating that everything has to come through here to the boards and commissions to where we don't have an understanding, or how do we go about that?
We're ready. Mike, it's a policy already that we have. We have a written.
But to notify, yes.
My
Mr. Shu.
suggestion would be, if y'all want to pass this resolution, pass it clean.
Yeah.
But I think
Okay.
I think it would be wise for the administration to simply notify the boards and commissions that this is the policy. We ask that you use it when you talk about purchasing the things that relate to.
Agreed.
All right,
Mr. Pauline?
Mike, thanks for doing the right job, because if you would go move as fast as we do, you'd still be up there with no and I'm going to support you.
Thank you,
This
Mr.
has been
Lynn.
hashed out too long.
Thank you.
Roll call? Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for your consideration.
Summary number 142, a resolution amending the 2016 Recreation and Playground Fund budget in the amount of $31,806 for an additional position in the Maintenance Department, all to be funded from the fund balance previous year's line item.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
Wow.
Moved by Mr. Goshen, second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? Roll call. That motion passes.
Hello.
Summary number 143, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2016 parish-wide drainage and royalty fund budgets in the amount of $25,288 to provide a transfer for additional drainage work on the northwest corner of the Crochet Road Bridge over T-Bayou, all to be funded from the fund balance previous year line item. Moved by Mr. Davis, second by Mr. Brown.
And it's just gonna be paid from out of parish-wide drainage,
Okay.
not royalty.
That amendment's okay with my motion and second? So it will be just from parish-wide drainage, not the royalty fund?
Yes.
Any other discussion?
Motion to amend.
The information Kim gave me, I think we're doing an operating transfer into the royalty fund. It's gonna come out of the parish-wide drainage, but we're gonna put it in royalty.
To take, okay.
Do that and then both funds.
Right.
So we're not amending the,
You're gonna have to end up amending it.
If you're putting the money in it, you.
And take, yeah,
no, we're not amending the resolution on the agenda.
okay, that's good.
Let me finish my thought. Any other discussion? Roll call? Yeah. Summary number 144, introduced by Natalie Broussard, District 6, a resolution requesting Public Works to install a no dumping sign near an empty lot right after the daycare facility on South Estate Drive. Moved by Mr. Trahan, second by Mr. Paul Landry. Discussion? Mr. Brown?
You still want to send this to
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Mr. Brown, I actually passed by there today, and we do already have a no parking sign after Mr. Goshen called me to discuss it. There's already a no parking sign, so we wouldn't even have to put the post. We could just add it to that.
No, you can't.
You can't put it on the same
You
post?
can't put them on the same post.
That's the reason. Go ahead, man.
It's illegal, 2011, I think. But it's no big deal, it's illegal to put two signs on one post.
Okay, we can't put it on the same post like I thought, but it's still, it's on the right of way and the dumping is on the right of way. We are. I mean, the cost that we're paying by, I mean, today there's a big pile of junk out there. The cost that we're paying to keep picking it up, I think what we would save would definitely pay for the cost of the sign. Mr. Goshen?
Andy, coming back to you, man.
I thought Andy said this already.
Andy, there's a sign there today that says no parking, that's been put by Iberia Parish government. And look, the sign is decaying. You barely can read it. You have to stop. Can we replace the no parking while we're there too?
I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't replace any, I'm just, my personal opinion, and I didn't authorize the no parking sign.
Okay.
But you don't need to be constructing signs on private property. And I hear right of way.
Right.
You know what? Right of way, all it does is authorize you to drain through or cross over. It doesn't give you any ownership in that land. And look, I understand that dumping and trash is a problem. Nobody dislikes it more than I do. But you have limited resources, and you got a constitution that says you can't spend public funds for private purposes. And this is a private, if somebody wants a no dumping sign, go get their own no dumping sign. Now, that's just my advice, and I don't vote, I just give advice, and yes, I am sitting in the tough seat, so.
Right. Well, I'm just concerned because I've seen, and this may, and she probably might slam the hammer on me, but I've seen where there's a sign that the public's put in the right of way that says maybe natural gas line running here. So what about those? I mean, should we pull up those or should stop?
What, who, that depends
But
on
it's
who.
still running on a right of way,
Oh.
the same exactly. It's public dumping.
It depends on who put the sign there.
Okay.
You know, if I'm a gas company and I'm running a line through there, I've got a right of way, I've got the right privately to notify the public that there's a line there.
So I want to make sure anyone can go put up a sign in the right of way. Is that what I mean, if I bought the sign, can I put it up there? So I want to make that clear.
No,
So
look,
you can't just.
You're talking about all different kinds of signs.
Yeah, I know. I'm
You know, look,
just want to make sure.
You're not gonna box me in where I'm gonna say never, can
Okay.
you do something. But when you're talking about a public right of way,
Okay.
we're talking about either road right of way
Okay.
or drainage right of way, primarily.
Okay.
Not a gas pipeline or anything else.
All right.
And we don't, the Department of Transportation handbook tells you what signs you can put out where and what they have to look like and everything else. But those are traffic signs in right-of-ways that are required because of traffic issues.
Gotcha.
This is not a safety issue. This is, all of us would like to somehow cause people to quit dumping.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Olivier.
A question for the administration. Larry, can the parish get something back in value by putting a no dumping sign such as this?
Where?
Anywhere.
On private property, on
On
where?
the right of way. Would that help you from spending less money on services that you wouldn't normally have to provide? Like sending a truck out there to pick up garbage.
The sign not gonna stop you from, not gonna stop the people from
Okay.
dumping them, that's what you're
That's my
saying.
question. All right, thank you.
Any other?
I mean, you would hope they would, but.
Roll call?
Wait,
Oh, you had something?
I had a question.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yes.
Pollard.
Is this the city limits or outside the city limits?
Outside the city limits.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Roll call. That motion fails. Summary number 145, introduced by Marty Trahan, District 13, a resolution requesting Public Works to install a no dumping sign at 319 North Dubois Road, District 13.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Trahan. Anybody second it?
Second.
Second by Mr. Macharan. Any discussion?
I am being requested by my constituent to put a no dumping sign there because he is tired of people dumping in front of his house. That's it. I hope y'all support it.
Well, you did. Question?
Mr. Davis?
Is that the same thing we just discussed?
That's it. Call for the question. Let's vote up or
But he
down.
did his job. You did your job.
That's it.
Mr. Gosh is there?
Madam Chair, I have a question for the DA again. Would you say this applies to the same thing?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Just want to say that for the record.
Yes, it does.
Roll call.
Tommy, you gonna vote?
That motion fails. Summary number 146, introduced by legal counsel, a resolution amending resolution number 2016-103, which implemented a temporary moratorium on the development, establishment, and/or construction of mobile home parks or mobile home subdivisions in order to change the effective date from July 31st, 2016 to December 31st, 2016.
Move, Madam Chair.
Moved by Mr. Goshenstown.
Second.
Second by Mr. Olivier. Comments?
Question. Let's go roll call.
I have one question for legal. Shouldn't it say that it's termination date would be July 31st, not the effective date?
Yes.
Changing July 31st termination date to December 31st, not making it effective December 31st.
That's correct.
Is that okay with the mover in the second?
Yes.
Roll call. Summary number one,
Madam Chair, motion passed.
oh, motion carried. Thank you.
You trying to be Rick Henry?
I'm trying to not say anything. Summary number 147, introduced by the clerk of the council, a resolution ratifying the appointment of Mr. Carol Bourgeois Jr. to the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission, representing the city of Jeanerette for the remainder of a 5-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Mr. David Fungi, thank you, Mr. Napier, whose term expired June 26, 2016.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Napier,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Francis. Is Mr. Bourgeois present? Does he want to talk
He's
to the
not
council?
here.
All right, any comments? Roll call. Motion carries. Summary number 148, introduced by the clerk of the council, a resolution accepting the resignation of Mr. Kurt Landry as a member of the Iberia Parish Mosquito Abatement District, representing the educational community, effective immediately.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Trahan. Any discussion?
He has family health issues. His mother is stage 4 cancer.
Okay.
Keep him in
Roll
our
call.
prayers.
Motion carries. Summary number 149, introduced by the parish president, a resolution granting substantial completion to the North Taxiway Runway Project, all as completed by Southern Constructors LLC and recommended by Bernard Habits and Associates. Moved by Mr. Davis, second by Mr. Pollard. Discussion? Roll call. Motion passes. Summary number 150, introduced by the parish president, a resolution authorizing substantial completion to the Canal Street Improvements Project and further authorizing the parish president to execute an act of acceptance from Glen Leger Construction, Inc., all as recommended by the project engineers, Sellers and Associates, Inc. Moved by Mr. Davis,
Second.
second by Mr. Francis.
Question.
Question. Mr. Landry?
Larry,
Hey, I'm sorry.
I happen to be in Jeanerette touring on Saturday.
Touring
Yeah.
in that bus?
Oh, I love that community. And I noticed from Main Street to the railroad tracks, canal was still closed.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm okay, I'll do whatever y'all want me to do, but I guess my question is, the road's not open.
Partial of it is open, I think, up till.
Where are we?
The railroad track.
No, MLK.
MLK.
Four-way stop. So you either have the option to go right or left from there. So it's mostly like the
That's
parish
in,
portion.
that's in Delcom. This is in Delcom you're talking, buddy. This one is for Delcom.
It doesn't say
Yeah, but that's what that is.
Oh, okay. Then I'm
Man, you confused me bad,
And
man.
the
I'm like,
Jeanerette
wait a
is the
minute.
state.
Yeah, that's a state
It's a state
project
project.
on Canal and Jeanerette.
Okay.
Any other further questions?
But thank you for touring Jeanerette.
Roll call.
You can't get back. You're gonna turn it the other way.
Go to Delcom this weekend, man.
Mr. Brown?
That motion carries. Summary number 151, introduced by Ricky J. Gonsalas, District 8, a resolution of condolences to the family of Cassie Sashon, Public Works Department, who passed away June 23rd, 2016.
Move.
Unanimous second?
Moved by Mr. Trahan, unanimous second by Mr. Goshasow. Roll call? No, yeah, no, so motion carries. Summary number 152, introduced by Parish President, resolution granting partial substantial completion to the sewer infrastructure project, Estes Road, Highway 90. All is completed by MP Dumasdale Construction Company, Inc., and as recommended by Freeview Moore Association, Inc.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Davis,
Second.
second by Mr. Francis.
Discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Pollard.
That's the water line or the sewage line?
That's the sewer line that's gonna connect Tuboscope.
Okay,
It's just for one business. It's just a partial.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything further? Roll call.
Ma-
Mr. Goshasow.
Madam Chair, I'd like to be recognized on personal privileges, not on summary 152. Madam Chair, I'd like to congratulate you on such a well-done performance tonight, and
I'm
that's it.
trying to do it in under an hour. Could you please move it?
I just wanted to congratulate
Roll
you, Madam
call.
Chair. Motion passed. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Let the record reflect we did it in less than an hour. Good job, guys.